Okay, well, I mean, my hair is what it is and my face is what it is, but I've been recording and chopping off my head. I've had a couple of times that I've recorded something and it's literally like this much of me. So I'm trying to get a little better at this. My bed's not made, and I guess I could like do this, but I also feel like this is what I'm learning about this whole format of vlogging. So I never really wanted to do this. I always felt like this kind of, I don't know, this kind of like in the moment type of content stuff is a little bit like who, I don't know. I'm just such, I think it's because of maybe it's because I'm a hairstylist or being in the beauty industry or like being a Virgo or something. But I think everything should be like it should be a clean background and I should have my hair and makeup done and whatever. I've just always thought of it that way. And I haven't even gotten to the part where I'm cleaning something or do whatever. Like when, I mean, I don't even know if I really like the word like vlog. I feel like it's just so like, I don't know. If you're going to do this, do it right. And to me, like this and this is not right. Like it's like half-assed. So anyway, I'm trying to like lean into that because honestly, this is so much easier. Like I'd rather just turn this on and not fucking care about my bed or my face and be like, yo, this is where I'm at. So that's what we're trying to do. It's Valentine's Day. I'm getting ready. I was going to do my pages. I've been doing the artist's way. So every day you have to write your morning pages. So like literally, I mean, dear God, look at all this writing. So much. It's crazy, actually. So much writing. And I started on the 3rd. So, man, so yeah, it's been like 10 days. Today will be my 11th day of writing. And I'm writing a book. It's weird to even say that. I keep trying to like own that more, but I've been writing forever, for like a year plus on my computer. And so I have this Google Doc that is literally, I should check how many pages it is now, but it's just, I mean, over 100 something pages. But yeah, it's interesting how much I like writing and then also how much it feels like a chore. It's so weird when I put like with the artist way, it's like a, you know, every day kind of commitment. And so this is week 2. I'm like, I guess Monday will be the start of week 3. So I'm coming into the end of my 2nd week. And it is really hard. I'm already kind of anxious about the 4th week. I think it's the 4th week that you're supposed to not read anything. I mean, I'm not going to be fully committed to that, which I'm trying to just like let myself be. Last time it like completely derailed me and then I just stopped. I think I trickled through week 5 and 6, but I was not in it. And so this time I'm just like going into week 4 knowing that I'm going to be working. I just am not in a position right now to not like to take that week off of work. And my work requires like reading emails and reading, you know, just reading. But I'm going to try to limit my time. So I'm only going to allow myself to read anything from my working hours. And then outside of that, I'm going to put my phone away, put like everything away. Yeah. Anyway, what did I want to talk about today? It's Valentine's Day. So I guess that was kind of my intention. It's been a roller coaster. I've had like a total roller coaster week emotionally. Yeah, I'm kind of, I don't even know where to start. I recorded the other night. I don't know if I'm going to share it, but I had kind of walked through this situationship that I had going on. And I just am really at a crossroads with it.
And there's just so many things, the list of things. I actually have a note in my phone of all the things. It was just almost overwhelming. And on the first date, we didn't even kiss. There was nothing. I honestly wasn't even totally sure if he was into me, like romantically, which again was perfect for me because I was not looking for anything. He just hugged me at the end of the date. It was very platonic, but just nice. And again, that day I actually did nothing for. I didn't even wear a bra. I had no makeup on. I wore a sweatshirt and a pair of jeans. I didn't even take my coat off because I was so mortified. He looked incredible. He was well dressed. It was just coffee on a Friday. In my mind, it was just casual.
It's so strange because I've had more intensity around my emotions with this person than I've had in some of my like substantial relationship. Like substantial meaning like long term and even my divorce, like it's just wild to me how intense I've had feelings and the emotional process that has been required over the last 2 weeks that I've been not in contact with this person. It's like a very interesting, I don't know, interesting experience. I think one of the things I thought would be kind of interesting. Why am I saying that word so much? It's like the 5th time. But I wrote something the other day that I thought was like, okay, maybe this is what I am trying to hold on to. So I think I'm going to share it. And I'm just going to take out this person's name, but I felt like maybe this would be like helpful for me even to look back on. And maybe even I go back and forth around like, what is my intention of doing this, of recording these? First, it was like moving to Portugal. I mean, moving is kind of even I technically can't move here right now. I don't have a visa. So I can only be here for a set amount of time this year. And I have that kind of mapped out for the next 2, like this trip. And then I go back to Chicago at the end of March. And then my intent is to be back here in May and part of June. So theoretically, after that, I can't be here. I have to leave until I have a visa. I'm trusting that that's just going to solve itself like everything else does in my life. So hopefully that solves itself. But in the meantime, my intention for recording these was to kind of talk about this process and like the roller coaster of this, like the emotions of this, being 36, single, in a very, on paper, a very difficult financial situation, but still holding this faith that, like I just said, everything will work out. It just always does. And I have seen that this entire experience. There have been already half a dozen things, staying in this apartment, having this host. I've had now 3 calls this week with different communities that are looking for community management that are here based in Portugal, that I can help them and their teams grow their communities. So I genuinely do believe that this is all going to work out. And I want this to be documented because I want to look back. I see myself in this position where I have success externally and it's obvious to the world, to whoever's paying attention to me. I don't want there to be an illusion of how easy it was for me to be successful. I literally want to be able to show like, oh my fucking God, it wasn't easy at all. Oh my God, like there's so much challenge that I've had to overcome. There's so many times when like it shouldn't have worked. Everything should have fallen apart. Everything was falling apart, like physically. And yet somehow when I am on the other side, I literally want to be able to turn around and be like, yo, no, go back. This is where I was at. So wherever someone else is, they can see that all you have to fucking have is belief. All you fucking have to have is belief. That's all I've had. That's all I've had so many times. I remember going through my divorce. I mean, that chapter in my life was so painful. It was so painful. And there was so much going on behind the scenes that of course I didn't talk about, that of course no one, I mean, my closest friends at the time, my mom, the people closest to me in that season of my life probably were very aware that I was not okay. Yeah, but I externally had this persona of ease, totally fine, no big deal. And again, I think I was able at that point in my life to hide behind my money. I had financial security. I could travel. I was 30 and flirty and thriving. Isn't that what that saying is? Like, I could just like dress up and date and travel. And like externally, bitch is fine. And I was not fine. And I remember well after, sitting with my brother at a pizza place and we were talking about relationships, and I won't go into the context of the conversation, but he basically said like, you got divorced and it wasn't even bad or wasn't even hard or something along the lines of just like how easy it was for me to get divorced. And I remember just like, oh, even right now, I could cry about it. I remember wanting to just like grab him and be like, oh my fucking God. I mean, I definitely did quickly say, what? No, that's not true. Don't ever think that. Getting a divorce is never the solution. I mean, it's not that it's never the solution. It's not the easy solution. It's not, in my opinion, like, it was so hard. It was the hardest thing for me at that stage in my life. I had no idea what I was doing and I was doubting myself. I was just so insecure, just absolute instability in my life. But externally, even my brother felt like I didn't even struggle in that season. And that is just so far from the truth. So anyway, all that to say, like someday I know I'm going to be on the other side of all this. And I want to be able to come back to this and be like, oh my God, if this is where you are right now, like I was there too. And I have proof. Now with my divorce, I don't have proof of that. I mean, I think it's so in the past now that I don't need that. But I feel like in that moment, I wish I could have shown my brother some of the darkest moments of that year, because I never want, especially people I care about, to think that I've somehow escaped challenge or hardship, because I never have. And instead, if anything, I feel like my superpower is that I fucking walk through. I just walk right through. And it's not even by choice. It's sort of like this. I think I made some post at one point about almost these like side quests to overcome every challenging situation possible that some part of me craves, some part of me wants to prove to myself that I can handle this and this and this and this. I mean, I hope we're done. I hope we've proven enough to ourselves at this stage that we don't have to keep doing that. But I have had a lot of challenge, and I do think sometimes it doesn't look like that, and it's just not true. So anyway, again, I think my biggest weakness is relationships. Love has been my Achilles heel my whole life. I don't really even know why. I just struggle with love. I struggle in romantic relationships so far. I want to change that narrative, because I know that saying things like that keeps it going. So in the past, I've struggled with relationships. My intent is to be taking this space and be working on myself this way so that at some point I am ready to have a relationship that has legs, that carries me through the remainder of my life here. Like, I don't want another, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 year relationship. I want someone by my side for the rest of my life. And I want to be that person for someone else. Like, that's what I want now. I don't want anything else other than that. And so I really feel this like, okay, I'm going to hold out. I'm going to hold out until that is so clear. And it's hard. It's hard, especially on days like today, especially on Valentine's Day, when we're just like bombarded with messaging around love and relationships. And again, relationship is not hard to find. You can find relationships, you can find situationships, I've had no problem ever finding someone. I have always struggled with holding them. Whether it's holding them for too long when I should have let go, or it's not holding on. Actually, I guess that's not really true, because I think everyone in my past, I'm very clear. I'm proud of how I let go, when I let go. And if anything, I wish I would have let go sooner. But for whatever reason, still those relationships didn't work. So it's like this belief I struggle with around not being able to hold a relationship, that inevitably the relationship will end. And I'm working on that. I'm working on that because I don't want that to be my story ever again. So this situationship, I feel like, really helped me kind of come into choosing myself, which I have done over and over and over the last, I would say the last 2 years. It's been a theme, like a slow burn. Okay, I'm going to choose myself in these friendships. I'm going to choose myself professionally. I've had like little practice. And then it got to be my family dynamics. And that was really hard to choose myself in those, because it felt like I was losing my family. And in some ways that is what it was and is. Yeah, that's tough. And then romantically, I mean, I feel like that's the last thread of that. And I've done it. I chose myself breaking up with my ex, my last long-term relationship. I wanted my version of that relationship to work. I wanted the marriage and the family, which I saw. I saw that. I was making that happen. I was going to make sure that happened. I constantly in that relationship use this analogy of a round peg in a square hole. And I was just adamant, like, this is going to fit. We just have to keep, it's going to fit. And that's one of those dynamics that I wish I would have let go sooner. I wish I would have chose myself sooner, but I didn't and couldn't until I did. And again, it's such a catch-22 because I'm fucking grateful for it. Taught me so many things about myself. But then this situationship, what's so strange is like this next little thing came into my life. Thing is, I don't mean that about this person. I mean that about this dynamic, this experience that was just like so out of left field and so not like, without even just going into it all. It just was, I think, a test. I think another test of like, can I still choose myself? And I did. And it was kind of forced upon me, but I did somehow, and I still am, and we're not in communication. And this is why I wrote this down. And I want this to be something I come back to at any point in the future if I'm coming up against this crossroads again. Always choosing myself and not compromising myself and my core values and my core dreams and visions for who I am and my purpose in this world, because I've always done that in past relationships. I always self-sacrifice, and I am just not doing that ever again. So let me see, where should I start? But maybe he was also a test, one last test to make sure I was still going to choose myself, even up against a near perfect match. But near perfect is not what I deserve. I deserve perfect for me in all ways, and also someone who has worked through their own insecurities that create love bombing and urgency in the relationship while overlooking major perspective differences. I want to get married again, and even more so, I want a partner who has the desire to be a father. This person said directly that he is not prioritizing marriage and that he is pretty sure he does not want kids. So for me, this is not what I'm looking for. I needed to walk away, which I did sort of, and he did too. He felt the up and down energy, which was true. So really, I'm grateful that he pulled back and sent me on my way here without a third date. Because I would be having that much harder of a time if we had developed an even deeper connection. I'm already in a struggle, unfortunately, even though I know these big things are non-negotiable for me. And I would only want to ever open that door again if he was open to both happening in his life too. And that seems pretty unrealistic since the man fucking unfollowed me. I'm real salty about that. So I'm working on detaching and trusting the right man for me will have everything this person reflected back to me, and he will want to create a family with me and see his dreams of living, traveling internationally too, without me ever forcing the topic. I don't need to do that anymore. God has the perfect person for me, and I'll know when that person comes into my life, because we'll both have our needs met effortlessly because our needs will match, and I will be ready. I'm really working on holding that belief. I mean, the roller coaster this week for me has just been this like fantasy. I guess it's hard to say. I don't want to get into all the nuances of this experience I've had meeting this person and then having this short connection, short in time, but very big in emotion and very big in, it's just felt like a whole relationship. It's felt like a whole big relationship, even though it was such a short amount of time. So in this last week, even, I've had all these kind of fantasies of okay, he's gonna come back. He's gonna have some sort of epiphany and realize no, just in fact, actually, I want all the things that you want too, and I'm ready for that. It's that princess part of me that is just desperate. I love that part of me too, because she is just such a dreamer, and she comes up with the craziest stories. They're so detailed. They're just the best stories. They're the best ideas. They're just fairy princess world, and I ruminate around them. Every morning I go for this walk down around the lake, and I mean, it takes active conscious thought to not just go through my la-di-da fantasy of this is gonna happen, and then this is gonna happen, and then this is gonna happen. And it's weird because so much of me is learning how to navigate intuition, and I have now developed this connection with, like I said, God, and that's a whole nother tangent maybe for another day, but I grew up with this idea of God that is very far from my connection with God, universe, source, whatever you say. And I was kind of playing with this idea of Gus. I don't know if I've talked about that on here before, but a former friend of mine said that they heard this. I can't remember the exact thing. I can't remember if they heard it or they came up with it, but it was like the abbreviation of God, universe, and source, and Gus being this like name. And I really love that. Like it really did. Every time I hear Gus, like there's a dog named Gus, and I've heard like men named Gus, whatever. But every time I hear it, it's just such a like, oh, I love that, you know? And I even played with the idea of using that as my like acronym or attachment because God felt so far away for me just based off of my religious trauma. It feels like I'm diluting God in a way when I say that. So that's interesting. I've been trying to lean into God more. And even that sometimes I struggle with because I don't love the idea of like a man being God, which why? Because I feel like God is everything, not man or woman. But again, I don't know. This is a tangent, so we gotta bring it back in. But I don't like the idea of a manly figure. I struggle with the idea of a manly figure. And that might be my own, again, my religious trauma. But even the name God to me feels so masculine, and I have a hard time like with that. So anyway, but I've been like developing this connection to that energy and trusting my intuition, which does have direct connection to God or life force or source or however, whatever the energy is, my intuition is able to pick up on that. And I've tested it and I've proven it to myself and I've experienced these things that are so clearly God, that are beyond me. And so I do truly trust, parts of me truly trust that there is a person that God has chosen for me that is exactly my match. And he is looking for me in the same way as I am looking for him. And we will know it when it happens. And yet then this princess part of me is like, yeah, well, and maybe that's this person. Maybe that already has happened. And this person is just like, you just had to like initiate and now they're gonna, they're doing their own work too. And together you're doing yours because I'm zero a perfect person. I am clearly working on a lot of my own insecurities that did, even in this dynamic, my insecurities pulled me back out of this energy with this person. We were back and forth. I contributed very much to the instability of this dynamic. So I'm working on my own shit. And that creates this story, this narrative that like, well, see, you're working on it. So why wouldn't this person also be working on it? And maybe at the perfect timing, this person's going to come back. And then the logical part of me is like, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. We are healing these things. We are not doing this. We are not putting this delusion into motion constantly because ultimately he said clearly this and that. So for me, those alone, like just step it. Like even if he came back in, what do you do with him? Like, no. The behavior that I know I am kind of hyper focused on this like unfollowing thing, but that is so, to me, that's just such a clear indication of unhealed insecurity. Like I did that the first time we again, this fucking roller coaster that happened. I was like, out, unfollow, everything's off, delete, like get it all out of here. And then the second time we left it at this like kind of strange, like, I hate even that because I just am so black and white that I just want to be like, you're in or you're out, get the fuck out. There's not like, I don't like that. I don't like leaving things gray. It's so uncomfortable for me. And again, that's probably my shit to work on. And I'm sure that's triggering up a lot of my own problems that I'm trying to take an honest look at. But that was kind of how it left, is this like no contact until I'm back where we physically could have a conversation. And I said like, great, I'll reach out in March if it feels aligned. But also I feel like I was like, no, I'm not going to reach out. Like if this is the way this ends right now, then you made your choice. I can move on from it. Cool. Like we can this doesn't work. Great. And again, ultimately, that's like I said, it doesn't, because the fundamentals are I want a child and I also want to be married again. And we didn't talk about marriage in the same way. We kind of casually talked about it over dinner. And at that point I said, like, yeah, it's not like as much of a priority to me. And he said something along the same lines, like he would, but it's not a priority. And I feel like now over these last couple of weeks, I feel like, no, that's not true. That's not authentic to me. I very much want to be married and I very much want to have a family. I don't want to like dull myself down or like water my desires down so that way they fit or match someone else's. And I do think that that's maybe what I was doing even in the context of that conversation. So that's my shit. That's my job. I keep warming up my coffee and it gets cold. Yeah. So today's been a weird start. It's like morning, obviously, but I've been real in my head about just like, maybe he'll reach out to me today because it's Valentine's Day. And like Princess me is like, not a chance will this man not say happy Valentine's Day. Like, not a chance. And then logical me is like, no, it's very likely that he will not contact you today. And you need to be A-okay with that because we're not doing this. We're not having this emotional spiral. And if he even were, unless all these other things have magically changed in his world, which, you know, hard to say, but seems unlikely, unless all of this has magically changed, what do you expect to do with him? What is the next step? So even if he pops up and says happy Valentine's Day, because possible, lots of situationships past have created that type of behavior pattern. They'll pop up when there's some sort of like, let's just put a feeler out and see how much of this I still have. But I just feel like we're also not doing that. So even if he were to text me today, even that I would be so suspect of. So even if there was some book sent to me about the importance and significance of this 2-month roller coaster, that's so ridiculous, you know? Like, that's so ridiculous. So even if that were true, I feel like I would be like, 2 months ago, you didn't want any of these things, really. And now you've had some sort of epiphany. And you have a pattern of love bombing me, which is what kind of created this like push-pull that I felt hesitant of. Now you want the same things I want. I feel like, again, my logical self would be like, okay, we can see. I think that's the best option that I would even be able to offer, which so far in our dynamic has been very triggering to this person. So the more I want slow and the more I want to like cautiously take my time to make sure, the more this person has been very like reactive in different ways. So yeah, I think it's probably time for me to work on letting go in an authentic way. Because I've like worked on letting go and then stalked social media, worked on letting go and then had my little delusional fantasies on my walk around the lake and worked on letting go. I'm not even going to get into all the rest of it because it's a mind fuck. I've really never experienced anything like this, which is, it feeds the delusion because I've never had anything happen like this in my life. And so then that gives me this false narrative of how magical. What? No. It's inconsistent. It's hectic. It's frustrating, confusing. I am not confused. I had this whole narrative in my head taking a shower the other day. I was like, I am not confused. I want a partner who wants to get married, who wants to have a family, who wants to travel, live internationally, who wants to build businesses and have like this purpose, this impact, like these motivators that are beyond the financial success. I am not confused. I'm fucking clear. That's what I want. There's not a doubt. I don't have question marks around that. There's not like, well, maybe I wouldn't want that, or maybe I know for sure this is what I want. And so the confusion comes from this relationship, these relationships, any of them, but this one specifically, the confusion comes from the dynamic of the relationship, not from me. I'm not fucking confused. I'm confused by the narrative that I am projecting onto this situationship. So all I have to do is stop the narrative, and then I'm not confused again. then I'm clear. That's my responsibility. And Valentine's Day is triggering. I'm helping my host's daughter get ready for her Valentine's party tonight. And she has a Valentine, and she told me the other day, I mean, this girl is just such a little force. I'm so obsessed with her. We were on this walk, and she was basically telling me all about her boundaries and about how this boy wants to date her and already told her that she's perfect and the one, and he already thinks he loves her. And she was like, how? You don't even know me. You don't know my values. And I was like, just a minute, let me write this down. Like, wow. And so again, I'm just trying to like, yeah, that's so true. Like yeah. And she was like, and for Valentine's Day, he's like talking with my best friend and they're talking about getting me flowers and chocolates. And I don't eat refined sugar. She does not. She literally does not eat refined sugar. She has asked me at least 3 times if the chia pudding that I made her has vanilla in it because the vanilla extract has sugar. She does not fucking eat refined sugar at all. And so again, it was just like wild to me hearing her because she was saying she doesn't want chocolates for Valentine's Day. And she was like, and if he gets me chocolates, like that is not listening to me. Like that's what I said. I don't want that. So if that's what he gets me, like he's not listening to me. And I was like, yep. She's like, and I said I wanted a card instead with a sentimental message. And I'll know if he used ChatGPT. I want to be you when I grow up. You are just incredible. You're so incredible. And again, clear reflection of her mother, clear reflection of what she has been instilled with, what she has put as her value. She knows her fucking value and she is a little girl. And I hope she does not lose that. I hope that she goes through puberty and high school and young adulthood and is just that sure of her fucking value because it is inspiring to me as a 36-year-old trying to find my value, trying to hold my worth, to hear this little girl so clear. She's so clear. And I just feel like, when do we lose that? When does that start to fade? When do we start to compromise? When we start to feel like maybe we're asking for too much, or maybe we're putting expectations on these men that they can't meet. And I feel like, when does that happen? When does that happen? Why don't we all walk around with this clarity? Why don't I walk around with that clarity? Why do I go back and forth and in and out? What is that? Why does that happen? And how do I heal that so that I can get back to this place that this little girl is standing in today on Valentine's Day as she's navigating this little boy who is sure he's in love with her. And she's like, no, you're not. You don't know me. I love it. But it's wild because last night we were going through her outfits for her party. And I'm going to do her hair and help her with her makeup. She already does like great makeup. So, but anyway, I'm going to help her a little bit. And honestly, I'm already like trying to honor my own emotions around dropping her off at this party and not feeling like I'm going to go home and cry. And again, I don't have to do that, you know? I'm trying to like, okay, what are my needs? How do I give myself what I need? But again, honestly, it's just, I don't know. I'm not totally sure because what do I do? Where do I go? What do I do? And maybe I'll make dinner for myself and maybe watch a movie or something. I will do these things for myself. But it is just crazy the way that these very commercialized holidays trigger up so much of this insecurity that we all have to push adamantly against. And not just women, but like I really feel like especially women, because there's so much narrative around what it means about us and our worth. And if we're single, what are we worth? And if we're single, especially after 30, 35, 36, like, oh God, you know, like, ugh, I hate it. So I think that's everything. I feel like this was probably pretty long. Happy Valentine's Day. I hope yours is full of love in all the forms, not just romantic love. And I am going to really try to lean into all the love that is in my life in all the forms, because romantic love is just one form.